Approximate, 1,900 characters, on October 19, 2025, at exactly 9:30 a.m., an electric lift pulled up right next to the Louvre Museum in France. The workers stepped out of the cabin and operated it like it was just another Tuesday. The lift rose to the first floor, and two men climbed through a window, disappearing into the museum. Just 7 minutes later, they emerged the same way, carrying historical artifacts worth nearly 100 million euros. How did this happen? How did the French police and security handle such a brazen act? We'll dive into those details, but that's not even the main mystery of this video. The real story lies within the Louvre itself, the most famous museum on the planet, protected by the world's most advanced security systems. Yet, it has been robbed more than once. Today, a persistent rumor claims that the world's most famous painting, the one that gave the Louvre its legendary status, isn't even the real one. They say a perfect replica hangs in its place. I'm Abu Al-Sadek, and I talk about everything strange and mysterious on Earth. But before we begin, remember, don't believe everything you hear. The story of the Louvre starts in 1190. King Philip Augustus decided to build a massive fortress to protect Paris from constant invasions. Spanning 60,000 square meters, it was designed with thick walls, watchtowers, and underground vaults, built to be invincible. It protected France for centuries. But as wars faded, Paris transformed from a battlefield into a cultural capital. In 1364, King Charles V turned this military stronghold into a luxurious royal palace, becoming a vault for Europe's greatest treasures and the famed Royal Library. By the early 1500s, King Francis I brought Italian art into the palace, inviting legends like Leonardo da Vinci. The building evolved from a residence into a true museum. Following the French Revolution in 1793, it was officially born as the Louvre National Museum, now spanning over 72,000 square meters. But despite its high-tech defenses, a shocking robbery took place just 6 months ago. It happened only 30 minutes after the museum opened its doors to visitors. The timing was critical. No ordinary thief tries to rob a museum in broad daylight during official hours. The thieves arrived at the southern side near the Seine River, wearing bright yellow construction vests, a common sight in France. This allowed them to blend in perfectly while using a furniture lift to reach the first-floor balcony. They bypassed all traditional entrances and security checkpoints. Once on the balcony, they used a specialized thermal cutting tool to slice through the reinforced, bulletproof glass. The tool operated like a high-heat saw, making the process incredibly fast. Interestingly, even when the alarm was triggered, the thieves didn't stop. They moved with surgical precision toward the Galerie d'Apollon, home to the French crown jewels. They knew exactly where to go. After a violent confrontation with the guards, they smashed the glass displays and seized 9 priceless pieces. The entire operation inside took just 4 minutes. The whole heist, from entry to exit, lasted less than 8. They escaped via the lift to waiting motorcycles and sped off along the Seine toward the highway. In their rush, they dropped the crown of Empress Eugenie, embedded with 1,300 diamonds and 56 emeralds. Even though it shattered on the pavement, they left it behind and vanished with the remaining 8 items, including the crown of Queen Marie-Amélie and a Colombian emerald necklace belonging to Napoleon's wife. The estimated loss? Over 200 million euros in historical value. Following the heist, the Paris prosecutor's office launched a massive investigation. What started with 60 investigators quickly grew to over 100. They collected 150 pieces of evidence, including DNA and fingerprints, and combed through endless hours of surveillance footage. They found the discarded tools, thermal cutters, gloves, and communication devices, but a haunting question remained: how could a museum like the Louvre be robbed this easily? Was it an inside job? To understand the vulnerability of the Louvre, we have to look at its most famous resident, the Mona Lisa. Despite its small size, it draws 10 million visitors a year. People don't just come for its beauty, they come for the mystery, the smile that changes depending on how you look at it. Some see joy, others see sadness. Theories range from the subject being paralyzed to the painting being a female self-portrait of Da Vinci himself. But what truly made the Mona Lisa a global icon was its theft in 1911. On a Monday morning, while the museum was closed for maintenance, an Italian man named Vincenzo Peruggia simply walked in. Having previously worked at the museum, he knew the layout. He took the painting off the wall, hid it under his worker's smock, and walked out. No one even noticed it was missing until the next day. He kept it for 2 years before being caught trying to sell it in Italy. Many believe the theft was a staged publicity stunt to make the painting famous. Now, in 2025, as we look at the empty cases in the Gallery of Apollo, the world is asking the same questions. Was this latest heist about the money, or was it another chapter in the long, mysterious history of the Louvre's fame? In 1911, Vincenzo Peruggia walked into the Louvre wearing a white smock, the standard uniform for museum staff. At the time, the museum was installing glass covers on several paintings, so seeing a man in a white coat was completely normal. The guards didn't blink an eye, they assumed he was just another worker they'd seen around the halls. Peruggia headed straight for the Salon Care, where the Mona Lisa hung among other masterpieces. He waited for the room to clear. Then, with calm nerves, he lifted the painting off the wall and carried it to a nearby service staircase. There, he stripped the painting of its heavy frame and glass protection, leaving them behind. You see, the Mona Lisa isn't painted on canvas, it's painted on a wood panel. He wrapped his white smock around a wooden board, tucked it under his arm, and headed for the exit. He tried to leave through a service door, but it was locked. Without panicking, he asked a passing plumber for help. The plumber, thinking Peruggia was a fellow employee, unlocked the door and let him out. Just like that, Peruggia walked out of the museum with the world's most valuable treasure under his arm. The craziest part? No one noticed it was gone until the next day, August 22, 1911, when an artist arrived to paint a replica and found an empty space on the wall. At first, staff thought the painting had been moved for cleaning. But as the hours passed, the truth set in, the Mona Lisa had simply vanished. This triggered a national crisis in France. People flocked to the Louvre just to stare at the empty spot where the painting used to be. The media frenzy was unprecedented. Police even arrested the famous French poet Guillaume Apollinaire and interrogated the legendary artist Pablo Picasso as suspects. The investigation was massive, covering every employee and temporary worker, including painters and carpenters. During the investigation, police found a fingerprint on the glass frame Peruggia had left behind. They actually identified him because he had a prior record, but for some reason, they didn't treat him as a primary suspect. They even searched his apartment twice and interrogated him, but let him go. Peruggia kept the Mona Lisa hidden in his apartment for 2 whole years. During that time, the painting's fame grew to legendary proportions precisely because it was missing. Finally, in December 1913, Peruggia used an alias to contact an art dealer in Florence named Alfredo Geri. He offered to return a masterpiece to Italy for a price, claiming his motives were patriotic. He believed Napoleon had stolen the painting and it belonged in its Italian homeland. Geri cooperated with the director of the Uffizi Gallery, and when they saw the painting, they were stunned. It was the real Mona Lisa. Peruggia was arrested in his hotel room in Florence on December 12, 1913. The smuggling operation to Italy had actually succeeded, but the patriotic defense didn't save him. After a brief tour through Italy, the painting was returned to the Louvre. But here's where things get strange. Peruggia was sentenced to just 1 year in prison, and with time served, he was out in months. Think about it. A common man, not a professional thief or a mafia member, steals the most famous painting in the world, keeps it for 2 years, smuggles it across a border, and receives a slap on the wrist. And all the while, the media is making the painting more famous than ever before. It feels planned. Some even believe the real painting never returned, and that the Louvre displayed a replica to save face while selling off black market copies during the years it was missing. The logic doesn't add up, which brings us back to the 2025 heist. Fast forward back to 2025. We are living in an era of peak technology, and the Louvre security is supposed to be impenetrable. A vast network of cameras and motion sensors monitors every hallway. Yet, after the 2025 heist, it was revealed that only 39% of the rooms were actually being monitored correctly. Most cameras were poorly aimed or inactive. The big question is, how did the thieves know exactly which cameras were ineffective? Beyond cameras, the museum has vibration sensors on glass cases and motion detectors everywhere. During the 2025 robbery, the alarms did go off, but the problem wasn't the detection, it was the response time. The thieves were in and out in 4 minutes. Where were the foot patrols? Why was the security staff under strength that day? 1 week after the heist, French authorities caught their first break. They arrested 2 men in their 30s, one of whom was caught at the airport trying to flee the country. DNA from the crime scene matched one of the suspects. Eventually, 9 people were detained, and 5 were charged. But while the men who executed the heist are in custody, the masterminds remain unknown. More importantly, the artifacts are still missing. History is repeating itself. Just like 100 years ago, a simple heist has made the Louvre the center of global conversation. People are visiting the museum just to see the empty spaces where the jewels used to be, just like they did for the Mona Lisa. Whether it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa or a stolen crown, the world is drawn to mystery. Was the goal money, or was the goal the story? The buzz around the museum has doubled since the theft. I waited 6 months to tell this story so I could see the full picture. Don't underestimate what happens behind the scenes in Paris. That was our story for today. Let me know in the comments, do you think this was an inside job? I'll be reading every single one.